Welcome to the beautiful city of Athens, the gateway to the Tennessee Valley, a city rooted in deep community relationships and built on a rich tradition of small local business and the very best of the human spirit. As Athens embraces the future, the signs of progress are in full bloom. Join us as we discover the bright spots in this charming southern city that we call home. This is Hometown Heartbeat, Athens. What is going on? Look at that fancy new ticker down there in the bottom. John Bolton avoided any situation where he would have had to reveal the details of his book. 1, before the book came out, and 2, under oath. See, that's pretty cool right there. Connor, you're doing it. Connor's just doing a bang-up job. Connor, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I'm using some new software, so that's how I'm able to get the ticker and hopefully some more cool stuff that you're going to see sooner or later.
What about Davis? Oh, well, you didn't even let Davis say hello to the people.
Say hello.
See, Davis doesn't speak. He just waves. He's actually a mute, in case you didn't know. Okay. So, finally, here we are. Finally, here we are with our big announcement. Connor, just roll the video. When the actual announcement gets made, which today it probably won't get made in full. Look, let me just let the cat out of the bag. We're probably going to the radio. Monday, folks. See, there's my echo, Connor. Let me turn that down. We are finally good to go. Contracts are almost in. I mean, we're there. So Monday morning, for Robert's been asking me, a couple listeners been asking, when are you finally going to be on the radio? Don't worry, folks. You will have a better radio option Monday morning at 5 a.m. on 92.5 WVNN if you are interested in doing some advertising with us, which you should be because we're awesome. You need to call Emo for Forey, and I will put his number up for you guys to have. Okay, so Connor.
Yes.
Connor, what is the purpose of the court or as we would say in America, the judicial branch of the United States government? It exists as an arm of the government for what purpose?
It interprets the laws.
Say that one more time for those in the back.
It interprets the laws.
It interprets the law. Okay, and what about the legislative branch of government, thus being the Congress, House of Representatives, like that side of the government? What do they do?
They make the laws. They legislate.
Okay. And then what does the president do?
He executes the laws.
He executes the laws. Okay. Guides policy, guides foreign relations. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Can the president unilaterally make policy?
No.
Okay. You sure?
Not unless it's in an emergency situation where he needs to take full authority. I would say,
for instance, the Defense Production Act or the Insurrection Act.
If he invokes an emergency type act, then yes, he can take full power. But in most cases, in the absence of an emergency, no.
Okay, so when President Obama in 2011, in 2011. President Obama said, let me get this quote right. I've actually, today was so disturbing to me that I actually did a little research. Usually I just get on here and just talk. But today I did a little research. So in May of 2011, President Barack Hussein Obama said, and I quote, I cannot, quote, just bypass Congress and change the immigration law myself. That is not how a democracy works. So how did President Obama go about enacting DACA? Connor?
This is going to blow your mind. I'm a little bit young. I don't actually remember.
That's okay. I don't either. I just was hoping that, you are smarter than me, so I was just hoping you could bail me out there. Illegally is how he did it. And again, I don't want to dive in. Look, this, just to be clear, for those of you that watch this show, I'm not a President Trumper, like build the wall kind of guy. I'm a Jesus kind of guy. I'm a constitutionally conservative Christian first, constitutionally conservative second, that is probably softer on immigration than a lot of people in my position, because I believe that the Bible speaks to orphans and widows in a way that Republicans might not like, which is why I don't identify as a Republican. Now, will I vote Republican? Yes, I will, because Sleepy Joe's never going to get my vote. But Trump has, look, if you watch this show at all, you know that I'm more than happy to call him out on his warts and all. Okay. So we've got that out of the way for everyone in the back of the room that is like, well, he's just a Trump for life kind of guy. You're an idiot, okay? And my mom just joined it. Perfect timing, Mom. She's going to get mad at me. I'm going to get a text, and she's going to be like, you shouldn't call people an idiot. But listen. Connor is 17, and the first thing I asked Connor today when he got here, or let me back up, when I got here, because he beat me here at a meeting, and I said, Connor, what's the rule of the judicial branch of government? He said to interpret the law. Connor, I like this. I like this idea pitching this back and forth. In your opinion, the Supreme Court, as they look at DACA, for instance, what would be an appropriate yay or nay when it comes? I mean, they're looking at a piece of legislation. Do you know why they're looking at it? By the way, let me start there.
No, I do not.
All right. Let's start here. Let's start here with this. There's a news article I've got, and I'm not going to send it to you, Connor, because everybody, once they see the source of it, they're, hey, well, that's a Trump news source. So here's what. Let me just read this word for word. Justice Roberts, whatever you want to call him, whack job Roberts. We do not decide whether DACA or its rescission are sound policies. We address only whether the agency complied with the procedural requirement that it provide a reasoned explanation for its actions. We have our first issue right there. But I'll continue. Here, the agency failed to consider the conspicuous issues of whether to retain forbearance and what, if anything, to do about the hardship to DACA recipients. Okay. In your opinion, Connor, you're a smart man. We are talking about reasoning. We're talking about procedural requirement. And we're talking about hardship of DACA recipients. Of those three things, are any of those interpretive of law?
Not of legislation, no.
One of them is. So I'm going to catch you with one, and that would be the procedural requirement. They are, as the judicial branch, more than capable of saying, hey, President so-and-so, you did not match the threshold for legal requirement to pass legislation. Therefore, your legislation is null and void. We are the legislative, or good gracious, we are the judicial branch. We're judging that you did not match the legal standard for this to become a law. Okay. Therefore, it is not a law. But outside of that, everything else was subjective. Now, listen to me. If you're out there listening, and if you're here, you're already listening, or you're just related to me. Either way, I appreciate you. And listen, okay, I don't care if you're left or right, white or black, brown or green, yellow. If you are an American citizen, this should terrify you. And for those of you on the left that would say, man, this is a great victory for the dreamers of the world. Well, it is, except for executive action can be taken in the same way that it was when your president was in office to completely fly in the face of all this, which I also don't want to see happen. Let me be very clear about my point in all of this. The very republic that we claim allegiance to is failing us. As citizens and patriots and Americans, we are being failed by our government because we want to get on here and politic. I have a job to do. When I show up at work every day, I've got a job to do. If I don't do my job on Friday when it's time to write paychecks, there's nothing to be written, okay? When coronavirus took my job away from me, Fridays got real tough, right? And so that's part of my job. You, as a citizen, have a job. Your job is to hold your politicians responsible for doing their job. And right now you suck. So do I. We all do. What the Supreme Court did today flew in the face of the very republic that was built on, by the way, the Bill of Rights, they're not what the government gives you. They're what they cannot take away from you. Do you understand the difference? Connor, you get the difference in that?
Or inalienable rights.
Right. So no one gave them to you but the Creator, right? And so the government cannot restrict them or take them away because they didn't give them to you, right? Like if I walk in to your place of business on Friday and I say, give me your paycheck, and if I don't have a gun in your face, like you're probably not going to do it. But if in my office I write Connor a check or I write somebody a check and I say, hey, give me that check. Hey, give me that check real fast. For whatever reason, I have to rewrite it or I didn't sign it or whatever. He's going to hand me that check. You know why? Because it's my money. And until he puts it in the bank, it's my money. Therefore, I can take it away because I gave it to him. Right? Not a great example because he worked for it. I get it. But we are being robbed of the process of law. The government was established and set up in a direction for a purpose with reason, and it is being destroyed over hatred for one man. Like, do you understand what's happening right here? Do you understand what Judge Roberts wrote in his decision and the words he used? He basically said, we're throwing out DACA because Trump's mean. That's not an oversimplification either. And if you think it is, you're probably that guy. And you should probably watch a different show because you're never going to like this one. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand how I don't even know what to say right now. Like, I don't even know what to say. Here is what the dissenting opinion written by Justice Thomas said, and he nails it here, by the way. The majority does not even attempt to explain why a court has the authority to scrutinize an agency's policy reasoning for rescinding an unlawful program under the arbitrary and capricious microscope. The decision to countermand an unlawful agency action is clearly reasonable. So long as the agency's determination of illegality is sound, our review should be at an end. It's an interventionist, overreaching court. Connor, did you ever play sports?
When I was really
young. Connor's look. He's all his ability. Like he's got a ton of ability up here. Unfortunately for me, most of mine ended up elsewhere. And as you get old and fat, that goes away. So Connor, you should be thankful that you have the brain's the last thing to go, big guy. Listen, we all playing sports had those umpires. You know the guy. You know the guy I'm talking about. I know that I can tell you his name. He lives 20 minutes from here. Stick Fowler. No, I'm kidding, Stick. I'm just messing with you, buddy. That's my softball guy. But when I played baseball, there was an umpire that and you saw it. There was a perfect game being thrown. Pitcher Galarraga, maybe was his name, and there was a play at first. Obviously, the guy was out. Umpire called him safe. Wanted to interject himself. Umpires oftentimes are ex-athletes that have a hard time accepting they're not in front of the camera anymore and they want to put themselves in the conversation to create excitement or what fill in the blank. I don't know their reasoning because they're dumb, but they like to insert themselves in these positions to keep themselves in the middle of it. And what we have here is an overreaching court intervening, inserting themselves in a place they ought not be inserted. Because they want to, I guess, or because they hate Trump. Like, listen. I know I've said that a bunch today. Mark Herring joining us. Hey, buddy, how are you? If President Donald Trump does not get reelected, now, mind you, that's painful for me to say, okay? I don't love the man either. I think he's an idiot. I think he needs to stay off Twitter, but if he's not reelected, the country will not. It won't make it. It won't make it. There's no way. If you look at every third world country that was once a westernized or modernized country across recorded human history, racial tension, racial divide typically leads the way. The press is press is right there with it. The guns, they come after your guns. If you look at history over and over and over again, like the things we're experiencing right now are exactly what has led to the downfall of civilized nations all over the world. It's terrifying that we have to put that on the back of old orange hair. I get that. Old tanning bed. I get it. I don't love that either, but it is a situation we're in. Oh man. Okay. All right, Connor. Let's go to the next story. The next story is Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta. Every time you click on anything else, I lose my monitor, which is okay. But we need to go to figure that out. We have to set it up as a protected display. But either way, so there is a situation in Atlanta that is unfolding where the cops over in the old Atlantiville are refusing to answer the call. They're basically not going to work. They're basically saying, you charged one of our guys with murder, which was baseless and stupid, but we're not going to answer. And so last night there were like 6 zones, I believe. Connor, am I right? Do you have this? I need to pull it up probably if I'm going to talk about it. But there were, I believe, 6 zones of Atlanta, which the way they have their city laid out, coverage is based on zonage, and so that helps them cover it more effectively. Excuse me, man. And essentially, they just said, "Nah, we're good. Probably not going to come in." First responders stopped coming in. They called the Georgia state troopers or whatever. They said, "Nah, good." The mayor is losing her mind. Here's what I found interesting, and I've got to find this. I should have. Oh, hold on. Let me read. Let me read this quote real fast. We do not have enough officers to cover us through the night. Our streets won't be safe. Well, I've got an idea. Anyway, so let me see here. GBI announces investigation. Let's see. Where is that thing? What was his name? Rayshard
Brooks.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, man. I'm trying to find the copy of their tweet or Facebook or something from yesterday. But they basically put out this. Let me tell you exactly. I'll just tell you what they said. I'll paraphrase, which is a scary, scary thing. It's real scary, actually. But essentially what they said was we were not aware that the DA was going to come out and levy charges against the cops. So just for those of you that don't know, the way it works in Georgia is if there's an officer-involved shooting or fatality, like the GBI, which stands for Georgia Bureau of Investigation. I only know that because I listened to that Tara Grimstead podcast that was so freaking good. But by the way, she disappeared out of her house and they never called anybody, and then they finally did because the podcast came out. It's crazy. Anyways, the GBI is the investigative branch of the Georgia law enforcement apparatus, okay? And so their job in any court or officer-involved shooting is to investigate what happened. Was it a good shoot? Was it a clean shoot? Then they turn around and make recommendations to the DA of whatever county the cop came from, and then the DA levies charges based on the GBI's findings. Now, they can choose to honor the GBI's findings. They can choose to upgrade the charges, downgrade the charges, enjoy and ignore the charges, whatever. But for the DA to pass charges on prior to the GBI's investigation even concluding, It goes to exactly what I said the other day, Connor. I said it was our first situation of being charged with policing while white, because it was all he saw was color at that point. And here's the interesting thing. Pull up the old mayor or the old DA. Let's see, Atlanta DA investigating. Here we go. Oof. Oh no, here's the one that I found. The one I was looking for yesterday. So the GBI says Fulton County DA blindsided the agency amid the investigation. Here we go. Da-da-da-da-da. Our goal in every officer involved shooting case we were requested to review is to complete a thorough and partial investigation before we submit the file. The GBA was not aware of today's press conference before it was conducted. This idiot went out and did it on his own. And so here's the thing. Like, this guy is in the middle of a state investigation and a runoff. What I saw was sexual something, money something. Let's see here. Oh, wow. The city of Atlanta sent $250,000 to the DA's office for crime prevention programs, and 80% went directly into Mr. Howard's paycheck. He said it was a, quote, administrative matter. Hey, Atlanta, if you want to send me a $200,000 administrative problem, I'm in. Oh, man. Oh, you indict police really quick when it's good for you. But when it's not good for you, you wait for the news to die down. You don't just do what's right when it's right. And that's the problem. And that's honestly, it's not just him. It's not just Atlanta. It's not just that situation. It's across the country. It's every color. It's every race. It's every whatever. It's that we have lost our ability to do what's right regardless of what's easy. We've lost our ability to do what's right regardless of what's mod or cool or whatever. And I mean, for the love of God, Florida can't even have the gator chomp anymore or something. Like, did you see that headline, Connor? Pull that headline up. Let's talk through that one real fast. The University of Florida banned some cheer at their football stadium. But essentially what we have here is the mob rule, okay? And I made it really confusing the other day when I called them mobsters I had everybody twisted up. But that's when I referred to mobsters, this is what I'm referring to. Florida putting an end to gator bait cheer due to racist history of term. For the love of all that's good and holy.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to talk about things getting canceled here recently.
What do you mean?
Well, you saw Aunt Jemima and all that went down, didn't you?
I tried to stay away from it. What would they cancel Aunt Jemima because she's black or what?
Because that Aunt Jemima was like a caricature during like slavery days, I think. But they are.
I make Connor uncomfortable when I ask him questions like that.
No, but I think they're discontinuing that brand, and they
might call it Uncle Cracker instead, like Uncle Cracker maple syrup. He's got no shot, does he? As an artist, Uncle Cracker, he's got no shot. He's going to have to change his name.
Oh, I forgot about it.
Yeah, he's going to have to change. I mean, for the love of God, if Lady Antebellum had to change her name, Uncle Cracker's got no chance. Oh man! All right, look, this is absurdity. I'm so happy you know what? The fact that we're on the radio Monday.
There's also this.
Oh no!
Right here, the Cream of Wheat.
Oh no!
They are reviewing their black mascot as well.
Oh no! Uncle Ben's, Mrs. Butterworth, Uncle Cracker, they're all going down. Chase or whatever his name is from Puppy Dog Pals. We ain't got a shot, folks. Here's the thing. You're being patronized. Cookie, when he was here the other day, we talked about it. Black people are being patronized by white people. I had a meeting about it today at lunch. In fact, tomorrow, I'm super excited about this. Our last show before we go to the radio, Pastor Sean DeMars from 6th Avenue Church, I believe it's called, in Decatur will be joining us. And Sean was, if you've seen the movie American Gospel, you've seen Sean. Sean had one of the more powerful quotes in that movie, something along the lines of like, Jesus doesn't cause you to change or doesn't cause you to act a different way. He changes the way you act, basically. And that was a terrible paraphrase, but he had some really powerful lines, and he's a great dude. He's got an incredible story, but he grew up in a very different environment than a lot of us have, probably. Not probably, definitely. And we talked about today at lunch. It's just like, man, what do we have to do to be able to walk into a situation and see each other as equals and act as equals? Like, not come in and act like I'm better than you, you're better than me, or you need to be guilty because you're white, or you need to be. It's just it's insanity, it's absurdity, and it's not Jesus. And right now, the world we're living in is terrifying. It's I don't even know what to do with it. I don't even like talking. I don't even like talking about it. I don't even like talking about it because all it does is pisses me off. Like, you can't even have a real conversation about anything without, like, literally, I find myself being worried that I'm going to sound racist no matter what I say. You ever worry about that? Connor's like, I just don't talk to people. It's no problem.
Yeah, I try to stay away from sensitive topics like that.
Yeah, Connor, when Connor got on this show, he was, well, for when we started, it had nothing to do with politics. So there's that. Why did we turn to politics, Connor? Can we talk about that?
It was, I think it started you and Molly. You were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You were talking about the cities shutting off their, like they're not letting any more people in because they don't want to spread the virus. And then I think the president started limiting immigration for the same reason. And y'all started talking about whether there's an equivalence there.
That's when it blew up.
Yeah, y'all.
That's when the world spiraled. And we're left standing here about to go on WVNN and talk politics before Dale Jackson every day on the radio. Golly. Do we have that much to say, Connor? Do I have that much to say? You realize on Monday, like in we have one more show. And then at 4 o'clock when your alarm goes off Monday morning, and you want to punch yourself in the face for ever coming in here and joining me as my producer. But when that alarm goes off, like we've got 2 consecutive hours of content to put on the air.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you got some ad breaks and stuff, so
yeah,
I don't know what the real
about 17 minutes.
17 per hour?
Well, 14 per hour, give or take. But because we don't have all of the ads for those 2 hours, like, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Hey, we'll find out real quick and in a hurry.
Do we have that much to talk about? I mean, look, for those of you that are out there, like my mom or my family, they're like, no, yeah, you can talk for 2 hours. No, I didn't say, can I talk for 2 hours? I said, do I have that much to say? There's a difference in talking and being heard, right? We want to be heard. We don't want to just talk. But when we can't be heard, we'll certainly just talk. So, look, I am terrified with where we live today. And I've said it a couple times. I'm embarrassed at times to call myself an American, and I find myself very frequently praying for change in politics, which is weird. And I think we don't do that enough as Christians. I think that we leave Jesus out of politics a lot because we're like, oh, well, we can't talk about politics at work or at church or whatever. We can't talk about religion. We can't talk about politics. And it's like, or maybe that's why we're so freaking divided. Is because we're so afraid to talk about anything in front of anybody that we just don't talk about anything in front of anybody. And it's gonna destroy this country. It is destroyed. I mean, for the love of God, they're running around the Chaz, the Capitol Hill.
The CHOP. Now, did you see that?
Wait, what?
They changed it. They changed the name. I guess the name Chaz didn't do it for them.
They heard me. I said Chaz Bono was not. I mean, if you've ever seen a picture of him, that's not who I would name my resistance after. Okay.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me see.
He said, He's over there.
Sorry, I'm looking for
what
okay.
the new. He does it to me all the
is.
time. The whole world is watching.
Organized protest. Capitol Hill organized protest. Thank you, David.
Oh, so it's not the autonomous zone anymore. So it's less autonomous and more organized. Got it.
I think what happened is the state started delivering some of their demands. Well, they decided, okay, well, we're not autonomous anymore. We're just
We've sold our soul. Yeah. No, yeah. I got you. Yeah. Well, they are passing out weapons down there. Have you heard about that?
Are they really?
Yeah, they're slinging AR-15s to people. Raz the Warlord got his hands on some war stuff and started throwing out AR-15s. And it's like that's what we call an insurrection. That's tyranny. There's a lot of things that it is, and Lord have mercy. The CHOP. Are the Braves going to make it? I mean, as a fan, I mean, it's a selfish question here. Are the Braves, is that going to be, I mean, because right now racism only extends to black people. Like we've completely forgotten about Native Americans. We've completely forgotten about Hispanics. We are only talking, in fact, Black Lives Matter doesn't help Hispanics at all. So it's not a minority movement. It's not a suffrage movement. It's a racist movement. So, are we going to get, I mean, does this full circle all the way back around to the point where, I mean, because we were already talking about going after, American Indian this, and we got to change the name of the Indians to I don't know, what do you want to call them? What do you want to call them? Friggin' it. We can't not acknowledge, I mean, Indians are there's something. They existed. They were real.
I saw a really interesting video. There's a whole Indian versus Native American thing.
Mm-hmm.
This guy had gone to different reservations, like a lot of different reservations, and had kind of, among other things, he had gotten their opinions on the terms American Indian and Native American, and he found that there was overwhelming support for American Indian, since that was a more specific term that they had taken on and embraced.
Well, that was when we left black. We couldn't say black anymore, and we had to say African American. And then many black people came out and said, "Wait a minute, I'm not from the continent of Africa. There are mucho melanin folks from all over the world, right? It's not just the continent of Africa." Mm-hmm. And so, no, again, it just goes to show all it is patronizing you. They're patronizing. I'm going to say it again. They're patronizing you because it's not real. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It's not real. Do you understand what I'm saying? Listen, it has been 30 minutes. I have a lot to do today because we will be moving into the studio over the weekend. Father's Day weekend will be spent putting cameras up and running wire and cabling and all kinds of stuff. So if anybody knows anything about HDMI or has hundreds of feet of it laying around, I sure would appreciate it. In the meantime, Connor, well, I would say bye, but it looks like we're going to be spending a bunch of time together this weekend. So this is Davis's last day for the week. Davis is going to enjoy a long weekend and spend some time with his pops and family and all that. He's home from college, for the love of God. He's got to go enjoy it. Connor's got another year before he enjoys his life, so I'll make it miserable. So, love you guys both. Appreciate everything. One more episode of Hometown Heartbeat in the afternoon. Tomorrow's guest, Sean DeMars from 6th Avenue Church from American Gospel. He will be here. We will be talking about, I think we're going to talk about Jesus and racism and how it all works. He told me not to tell him, so he's not watching, so it doesn't matter. But that should be a good one. He's probably the smartest dude I know, and will bring something to the table that is very interesting, I bet. So, all right, guys, get out of here. Connor, take it away. We will see you guys mañana and then on the radio Monday. Thank you for your support. We will talk to you soon.